Can I ask you all one quick one each to finish off? Sir Patrick, what's the science underlying the new requirement for secondary school pupils to wear masks for a few weeks? What's the data that you want to see that'll mean they can take them off again? Professor Whitty, you spoke about the fantastic uptake of the vaccine, but is it or is it not the case that we are seeing evidence that in some NHS and care home settings, people are declining the vaccine in surprising numbers? Could you ever see it being a condition of employment to have a vaccination in a care setting or an NHS setting? And Prime Minister, can I ask you about the future of our great city centres, places like London, Manchester and Birmingham, with work from home extending to midsummer? Is there a risk of them being hollowed out in the centre with office workers choosing to stay at home for longer, meaning fewer shoppers, fewer leisure spenders? Is there a division perhaps? Some people say to you, well, accept this as inevitable and maybe turn some of those office blocks into housing. Other people say what we need is a Marshall Plan for the city centres around the country to recover them and save the businesses that are staring disaster in the face right now.
In schools, ventilation is going to be important as children go back. Good ventilation. Masks will add to the protection, and hand washing and good hand hygiene adds to the protection. So mask wearing during this period when schools are back, secondary schools are talking about here in terms of the mask wearing, and then we'll measure effects of schools going back at the 5-week time period, probably 4 weeks we'll have the effects, and we'll be able to see whether things have come back under control in terms of schools being back and no expansion of the epidemic in a way that would mean that we can't go ahead with the next set of steps. And at that point, I think we can see what the consequences of the various actions are and whether mask wearing continues and for how long it needs to continue as it is in the adult population. And it's really only for those children who are able to do so in secondary school.
On NHS and care home workers, I think what people want to understand is the disease a serious disease? I think everyone who works in care homes or in the NHS fully understands that. Secondly, does the vaccine work? And I think today we've seen yet further really clear evidence this vaccine protects against mild disease, it protects against asymptomatic disease, which means it's going to protect people around you, and it protects against severe disease, so it really works. And the data on safety is reassuring and continues to mount. People want to know about that, and I think those bits of information are getting stronger and stronger the whole time. Actually, in most health and social care settings that I've seen, and the data would back this up, people are really keen to get the vaccine. There are obviously some people who've got some caution, and we need to have that discussion with them. But I think my view is clearly for medical staff, where I am subject to the same code. It is a professional responsibility for doctors to do things which help protect their patients, and I expect that to be a professional responsibility for all other health and social care staff as well. Now, questions around contracting are not really for me. The only comment I'd make on that is there has been, it has been a norm. For example, there's an expectation if you're a surgeon you've got a hepatitis B vaccine. So it's not that this was completely new territory, but I think that's not really a question for me. That's a political question. And what the professional expectation, very strongly, in my view, is professional medical and social care staff should be taking it.
Yeah, and Joe, since Chris has said it's a political question, I suppose I want to dodge that implication and just say that I think that in the case of care homes, I know that some of the very high quality care home groups are now looking at what they can do to make sure that their staff are indeed vaccinated. But on your question about the city centres and what's going to happen, it's a very, very important question, and I think that there will be changes as a result of the pandemic, and I think that it will accelerate some trends, and it may be that, as you rightly say, Joe, there's opportunities for more residential accommodation in town centres, in high streets, which have been, changing the way they work anyway for a long time. But I don't believe that this is going to mean a fundamental change to the way our life in our big cities really works. And I used to chair TfL for a long time, Transport for London, and I remember the better remote communication gets, and the more people can see each other and talk on mobile devices and the rest of it, and there's a paradox, the more actually they want to see each other face to face for whatever reason. And that, I'm sure, will come back. And I think that London, our great cities, will be full of buzz and life and excitement again, provided people have confidence about coming back into those city centres. It's going to be, and then you'll get all the agglomeration effects that make London such an amazing place and make our cities so amazing. But it's all going to be about confidence, and that confidence is going to come from the continuing success of the vaccination programme and people's sense that the disease is finally being managed in a way that they understand that it's being controlled, and as Chris and Patrick have said, that it's become something like a flu that we have to manage and to organise and to live with, and that's it. And then I think you'll see life really coming back to normal again. So I'm a sceptic about it. When people say that this is going to lead to a massive change in urban life, I'm doubtful. I think that our great cities will bounce back along with the rest of the economy once we've got this roadmap delivered. Anyway, that's all we've got time for tonight, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Boris Johnson, Prime Minister, and Chris Whitty and Patrick Fallon's there ending that news conference at Downing Street. We're live here on this BBC News special just to cover that. We heard lots of that, of course, this afternoon, going through the measures that the Prime Minister sees in England being relevant to the easing of the lockdown, but a few little bits in there which actually were new sort of aspects of what's going on. Let's talk to Vicky Young briefly in Downing Street. Vicky, just a thought about things like vaccine passports, which the Prime Minister, for example, seems to have changed.